Like, I just want to one day be able to listen to this song live and scream, "She would have made such a lovely bride, what a shame she's fucked in the head," they said, at the top of my lungs. Like, this is everything I want in life. Hello everybody, it's Sarah. Welcome back. Today I'm very excited because I'm coming at you with the Evermore book tag. So yes, I am once again bringing you some more Taylor Swift and books content because Taylor Swift blessed us this year and decided to drop a second album on our heads, which I personally really do not mind. I am as much of a fan of Evermore as I was of Folklore. I just love those two albums so much. They're like my favorite things that she has ever done, honestly. Like, the dream. I'm so happy that Taylor Swift decided to save 2020 not only once but twice, because honestly without those two albums this year would have been so much more miserable than it already is, and I'm really just so grateful. Also, I just wanted to tell you all Merry Christmas, because the day that I'm gonna be posting this video is on the 24th of December. So yeah, I just wanted to wish you a Merry Christmas if you're celebrating it, even if it's very different this year from what we normally do, but you know, it is what it is. We have to try and look for the magic in everything, and honestly I feel like a Taylor Swift album is exactly the magic that I was personally asking for this year. So yeah, Merry Christmas, and without any further ado, let's just dive into this tag. So the first song is of course Willow, and the prompt that comes with that one is name a book that is a masterpiece. And for this one I decided to go with The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern because I truly believe that this book is a masterpiece. I love this book so much. It is one of my favorite standalones of all time. In case you don't know, it's like this very magical story about this guy who discovers a magical library underground, and it's really a book about books and stories and the power of stories, and I just love it so much. It is so wonderful. It also has the most sweetest male-male romance at the center of it, which is definitely amazing. The writing is beautiful, the story is whimsical and so well executed, and it will definitely pull at all of your heartstrings. So yeah, in my opinion, this book is definitely a masterpiece. Then the second song is Champagne Problem, which is, I think, my personal favorite off of Evermore. It is just so good, so beautiful. Like, I just want to one day be able to listen to this song live and scream, "She would have made such a lovely bride, what a shame she's fucked in the head," they said, at the top of my lungs. Like, this is everything I want in life. But anyway, the prompt associated with Champagne Problem is name a book that caught you off guard. And for this prompt I decided to go with a series that pleasantly surprised me this year, and it is the Great Library series by Rachel Caine. I have read 4 of the 5 books so far. I only have the last one left, and it is definitely the next book that I'm going to be reading, and I'm pretty sure it won't disappoint because honestly this series is so good. Like, I was expecting to enjoy it because it talks once again about books, and it's about this very big library that controls the entire knowledge and power in the world, and we follow this main character who infiltrates the library to try and bring it down, and it's so amazing, and it definitely caught me off guard a couple of times. Some of the plot twists I never saw coming. It also caught me off guard because I was not expecting to get so intensely attached to all of those characters when I first met them in the first book, but now they're all my children and I love them so much, and oh my god, yeah. This series is just definitely one of the most wonderful surprises that I've had this year, and if you haven't looked it up, definitely please do, because it's absolutely amazing and I wish that more people would read it. Then the next song is Gold Rush, and the prompt for that one is to pick a book with a gold cover. So I actually do have a lot of books with gold on the cover on my shelf because I just love myself a good foil, but I decided to go with King of Scars by Leigh Bardugo because not only is this book pretty dang gold, I also feel like the lyrics in the song kind of fit with the main romance in King of Scars. Like, if you've read this book, you know. But basically there's a part in the song where Taylor sings, "What must it be like to grow up that beautiful?" and it really made me think of the two characters from that book. Also, it's just one of my favorite part of the song. It's just so good. Anyway, yeah, King of Scars, a gold book. Then the next song is "'Tis the Damn Season," and for this one you have to talk about a winter or Christmassy book. And it's so funny that this question came up because I normally don't read a lot of Christmas books, but this year actually I'm going going to be reading like 3 of them. The first one is our pick for the Tea Leaves book club, and that is the Letters from Father Christmas by J.R.R. Tolkien. This is our pick for the month of December, and basically this is kind of like a collection of letters that J.R.R. Tolkien wrote to his children pretending to be Santa Claus. Then the next book that I want to read this Christmas is This Winter by Alice Oseman. This is a novella that takes place into the Osmanverse, if I can say it like that. And I don't know too much about this little book, but I know that it takes place on Christmas Day, so there's that. And then finally, the last Christmas book that I'm going to be reading this year is A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. This is going to be my classic for the month of December. I'm going to be listening to the audiobook. I've actually already read A Christmas Carol, but it was a couple of years ago, so I do want to reread it because I know it's like Mary from Mary Among Stories. It's one of her favorite classics, and she was kind of shocked when I told her that I had already read it but didn't really like it, so I kind of want to reread it to see if my opinion is going to change. The next song on Evermore is Tolerated, and for this one you have to talk about a problematic book. And for this one I decided to not really talk about a book but more about one author that I learned recently is problematic, but I actually had absolutely no idea about it. And that author is Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. I am so sad to know that she actually sided up with J.K. Rowling and talked about how J.K. Rowling's essay, which was absolutely transphobic and disgusting, was very reasonable in her opinion, and I just think that really sucks, and it's very disappointing because I know that Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie is actually a feminist scholar. So yeah, that definitely makes me very angry and very disappointed, and I'm not going to be reading any more books by her because I am not the kind of person to support a TERF, because I really don't agree with them. I think that they're stupid and they should be stopped. Moving away from controversial topics, the next song is Nobody No Crime, and for this one you have to talk about a mystery or a thriller book. And for this one I decided to go with one of my favorite mystery series of all time, and that is the Truly Devious series by Maureen Johnson. I am absolutely obsessed with this YA mystery series. In case you don't know, in this one we follow our main character Stevie, who goes to this very prestigious school on top of a mountain in Vermont because she actually wants to try and investigate a murder case that happened there 30 years before. And I love this series so much. I love the characters, I love the mystery, I love that there's also a very good anxiety representation in this book. Stevie, our main character, is just amazing. I would let her step on me, no joke. I just love her so much, and I just also really love Nobody No Crime. It's just so good. Honestly, listening to Taylor Swift singing about wanting to murder a man really sends me, and it's one of the greatest experiences of my life so far. Then the next song is Happiness, and for this one you have to talk about a book that is about hope. And for this one I decided to talk about The House in the Cerulean Sea by TJ Klune, which is the complete opposite of the song Happiness, because that song breaks my heart every single time, and this book actually left me into a puddle of happy tears. But this book is definitely about hope and about changing your life for the better. It is full of magical children that you just want to hug. I love them so much. All of the characters in this book are absolutely amazing, and it's super whimsical and sweet and really cute. And in case you don't know about this one, basically we follow our main character Linus Baker, who is a worker for the department in charge of magical youth, and basically at the beginning of the book he is sent to this house for magical children because he needs to go and see over there, make sure that they're well taken care of, and it's so amazing. I really love this book. If you need a book that feels like a hug and that tells you that everything is going to be okay, definitely read this book. Then the next song on the album is Dorothy or Dorothea. I never know how to pronounce that name in English. Like, is it Dorothy or Dorothea? Do you pronounce the A? I don't know. It remains a mystery to me. And basically for this one you have to talk about a book to movie adaptation. And my two favorite book to movie adaptations of all time are either the Pride and Prejudice 2005 adaptation or the 2020 Emma adaptation. I just love those two movies with my whole entire being. They make me so happy. I think that they're absolutely amazing. They're funny. They capture the heart of those two stories absolutely perfectly. I have nothing bad to say about those two movie adaptations because I think they're just incredible, and if you're a Jane Austen fan, you definitely should watch them because they're like some of my favorite movies of all time, and I will never stop gushing about them. Then the next song is Coney Island, and this song is definitely one of my favorites on the album as well. Actually, the next 3 songs, Coney Island, Ivy, and Cowboy Like Me, like this combo of song back to back, I don't know how Taylor Swift expected me to be fine after that, because honestly, every single time I listen to those 3 songs, at the end, I'm just wrecked. But basically, the prompt for Coney Island is to talk about a book that brings back memories. And I think that for this one, I'm going to go with Graceling by Kristen Cashore. I know that I keep on talking about this book series on my channel lately, but honestly, I just love those books so much. And this one definitely brings back a lot of memories because I actually read this first book when I was like 14 or 15, and I just remember vividly like sitting down into my high school library and opening this book, and I just completely fell in love with this entire series, and it is still till this day one of my favorite series of all time. I think it definitely holds up. So yeah, I have a lot of fond memories associated with this series. The nostalgia is strong with this one, and I think that's definitely one of the reasons why I love them so much, but also just because they're absolutely incredible. Then the next song is Ivy, which is, like I said, also one of my favorite songs on the album, and the prompt associated with this one is to talk about a book that you just can't help but love. So basically like a guilty pleasure type of thing, and I'm not really one for guilty pleasures. As you may already know, I'm very, very unapologetic about what I love to read. So instead, I decided to kind of change the prompt for this one, and I want to talk about a kind of like witchy fantasy, maybe with a sapphic romance, because I think that Ivy definitely gives me like sapphic romance vibes. If you read the lyrics, I don't know, in my opinion, it sounds pretty sapphic to me. And so for this one, I decided to go with The Priory of the Orange Tree by Samantha Shannon, because I definitely feel that like when I listen to the lyrics of Ivy, I can definitely picture a certain couple from this book in my mind, and it definitely absolutely works. And also I definitely feel like Ivy sounds very witchy and magical and fantasy like kind of, and so I definitely think that it also fits with this book for that reason. Then the next song is Cowboy Like Me. Pick a book that you didn't think that you would really love but you actually did, and oh my god, I love Cowboy Like Me so much. It's so sweet. It's definitely one that grew on me, and definitely the fact that Marcus Mumford is doing the back vocals, I freaked out. I really freaked out because I love Mumford & Sons. They're my favorite band. The book that I decided to go with for this one is actually a classic that I read recently, and that classic is Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. When I decided to read this book in October, I was just like, it's very possible that I'm going to absolutely hate this, but I want to read it because I think that Mary Shelley is an icon. And I ended up actually enjoying it so much more than I thought I would. Like, granted, it's not my favorite classic of all time. It definitely is not, but it was so much better than I thought it was going to be, and I'm so happy that I read it, and I was definitely surprised by how much I ended up enjoying it, so it definitely works with that prompt. Then the next prompt is Long Story Short, and for this one you have to talk about a very short book that is under 300 pages. I really do not read nor own very short books that are under 300 pages long. I'm really a long book type of person. I really love big chunky boys. I just love to like sit down and devour them, and so I decided to go with a kind of like short story collection, and that book is The Lives of Saints by Leigh Bardugo. This is a little collection that basically tells the story of all of the saints from the Grishaverse, because in case you don't know, in the Grishaverse, the religious folklore is based on those people who used to perform like miracles and stuff like that. I wasn't really planning on reading this book, but then I'm doing my master's research on Inej, and the saints are definitely an important part of her character and of who she is. So I decided to pick this book up, and honestly, it's so pretty in person that I'm really glad that I ended up picking it up after all. And I think it's going to be very interesting to learn more about the Grishaverse through this little book. And it's also under 300 pages. I definitely went on a tangent here, but yeah, it fits the prompt. Then the next song is Marjorie, and for this one you have to pick a biography. I really never read biographies, so I have absolutely nothing to recommend, but I want to say that I would really love to read a biography of Jane Austen because I want to learn more about her, because I think she is a fascinating woman and I just want to learn more about her life, you know? Then the next song is Closure, and for this one you have to talk about your favorite last book in the series. And there are so many books that I could pick for this prompt, but I decided to go with A Conjuring of Light by V.E. Schwab. This is the last book in the Shades of Magic trilogy, and it's been a while since I talked about this series on my channel, but it is actually one of my favorite fantasy series of all time, and this last book is my favorite book in the entire thing. In case you're not familiar with A Darker Shade of Magic, in the first book we follow Kel, our main character, who is actually able to travel through those 4 different versions of London. So there's Red London, whereas there's magic, there's Grey London, which is basically our London, but like in the past, like the Victorian era or something. There's Black London, where magic destroyed everything, and White London, which is slowly being destroyed by magic. And one day he stumbles upon a thief who steals a magical artifact from his pocket, and so they both have to go on this adventure and try to find that object before it basically destroys the world. And this last book is definitely one of the best conclusions to a series that I've ever read. It made me scream, it made me cry, it made me like gush and so warm and fuzzy inside, and yeah, I just loved every single second of it, so it definitely fits that prompt perfectly. And then finally the last song is Evermore, which is also one of my favorite songs on the album. I love it so much. Just everything about it is so perfect. I think it is the perfect song to end the record, and the prompt for that one is to pick a book that was painful to go through. Now I think that there are definitely a couple of interpretations to this prompt. I think you could either, like, you know, pick a book that made you cry or that was very sad, or pick a book that you really did not like, and I think that I'm going to go towards that second option. And basically for this prompt I decided to talk about The Secret History by Donna Tartt. Now, I read this book this year, and let me tell you, I was so hoping that I was going to really enjoy it, and it kind of disappointed me. And the reason why it disappointed me is because it dragged on and on and on. Honestly, this book is so long. I thought it was never going to end, and yeah, I'm really sad about it because I do really love Dark Academia, and like I said, I was really thinking that I was going to really love this book and it was going to become one of my new favorites, but sadly it did not. It was kind of a pain to get through, not gonna lie. I know that's an unpopular opinion, but it is what it is. But there you all have it. That was the Evermore book tag. I'm going to be tagging Hillary from Melted Books as well as Sophia from Sophia Reads, because I know that they both also really love Taylor Swift. I hope that you really enjoyed this video. If you did, please don't forget to subscribe. Once again, Merry Christmas to all of you who celebrated, Happy Holidays, and I will hopefully see you in my next one. Bye!